Всем привет!
Привет!
С вами снова канал Mediator, на котором мы делимся с вами нашей любимой музыкой и делаем интервью с музыкантами.
И герои нашего сегодняшнего видео — это португальские музыканты Moonspell, которые приезжали к нам в Москву в апреле со своим новым альбомом 1755.
1755 – это год, в который произошло знаменитое Лиссабонское землетрясение. Оно нанесло непоправимый ущерб экономике Португалии, которая на тот момент была одной из мощнейших империй в мире. Землетрясение сопровождалось цунами, пожарами, а также чумой.
Мы встретились с музыкантами для того, чтобы поговорить с ними о этом альбоме, а также об их туре по России, в котором они в тот момент находились, и о том, каково это петь наш век глобализации на португальском языке, потому что этот альбом они записали на португальском. I want to start with a simple question of how Russia is treating you, and how was your yesterday gig, and how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I mean, Russia, not only this time, but most of the times, has treated Moonspell with a lot of respect and very decently. So, I mean, we feel very welcomed here, and yesterday was no exception. So, I think there was a bit more crowd than last time we were in Krasnodar. Mm-hmm. But we also feel with the years we are starting to get a really good level of show, of playing, and that has its effects on the audience. So it was pretty good. I had fun on the show. I had fun in Russia so far.
Do you see any difference? Like, if you've been to Russia many times, do you kind of trace? Or I don't know. Maybe you don't see
I feel the difference. I don't know if the difference is going in the right direction. It's not about for me to judge, because we tend to say, oh, now you have more infrastructures, people speak more English, or oh, you can find all stores there. But I don't know if that really minds that much.
Yeah.
I think that's the good vibe I have is that people feel how to say this. There's more people coming to our kind of music shows. I think more shows happening as well. So on that aspect, I think it's a lot different, because people now behave like people in Central Europe or anywhere else where there are shows oftenly. Mm-hmm. So people are starting to get more,
accustomed to that.
Yeah, which has its positive things and also some negative things. The enthusiasm is not as crazy as it used to be, but I think the musical appreciation actually is more important now.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask about your new album,
Yes.
1755. I know that it's about the great earthquake in Lisbon, mm-hmm. and I understand the importance of this event, so to say, as a historical event from which kind of historical route changed, and many things changed progress-wise and regress-wise and stuff, and it probably influenced not only Portugal but maybe other countries as well. It was like a very huge impact. But I'm wondering, from your point of view, what is the link here with the contemporarity? Why in 21st century you want to talk about this? Like, is that like, are we living in a post-apocalypse, or like do we need apocalypse?
Fernando and Moonspell have been researching or navigating somehow in apocalyptic themes lately. I mean, with Night Eternal, started out with Night Eternal, Alpha Noir, Extinct, and this one. So it's kind of something more interesting for us. I mean, I would sum up the album basis, because obviously it's about the earthquake, you can say so. Yeah. But in my mind, in a more emotional point of view, I look at it as a moment when God sent a message to humans saying, please don't rely on me. Please doubt of me, which is kind of incoherent, so it's like a paradox, but it's the way I see the album, and I think that's very contemporary actually, because people ended up on the other extreme, which was before people were completely like submitted to God's will.
Yeah.
And then after with Illuminism until recently, I think there was always the doubt and the question. And nowadays it's like we're losing all really religiosity, you know, at least in the Occidental countries, and you feel that the meaning of life has vanished completely among all the shopping and all the consumerism that you see around.
Oh, okay.
So I think these themes are like the earthquake are good examples of what sometimes must happen for the revolution to start. And maybe by remembering this, then we don't feel the need. We just start to change things. It's not a political album, obviously.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. But in a more philosophic dimension, I think that's how I feel the things. And answering to your question, that's how I feel nowadays. This metaphor.
And I'm also wondering, it's a concept album, and it has a very distinct narrative line within it, which is like, to me, it's very, very clear how it works on the level of lyrics.
Yes.
But I was wondering, what's your idea of narration and music? How does it evolve from musical point of view? And like, what is narration and music?
Yeah, I'll put it this way. That's kind of it's a good question. Sometimes people ask, do you write first the music or you write first the lyrics? No, the narrative can be provided by both, true. And sometimes the link we find to finish a song is between the two of them. And in fact, I mean, just the fact that you're writing about the earthquake, it induces you immediately to certain kind of sounds.
Yeah.
And certain kind of sounds, the way you approach the instruments. And that was actually very easy. I must remind you that this wasn't supposed to be an album, was supposed to be an EP, just like an artistic project, but it was so easy to write music that we eventually did the album, because it was our creativity was like just flowing, and you know, music was just getting out, and especially when Fernando comes up with the words, it's even easier. You know, I think then you must not think about the lyrics as only words, but these are words that have a place in music, and that's where we worked out most of the album. I think the main goal was also to have, it's a foreign language, so for most of our fans, and even my son asked me, aren't you afraid that people won't understand and won't like it? And I answered, as I'm telling you now, that if we are clever, maybe, you know, people actually understand a bit of Portuguese, because you have to find the right words, the most international words that you use in Portuguese, and then can fit the lyrics, like, you know, ar, água, corpo, all these kind of words that people immediately. So we tried to use that a lot, and also the rhythmical way of putting the vocals had to do with the lyrics as well. So the narrative of music is not that different from the narrative of how you put the lyrics into music, so they all belong to the same direction. We found out, like, we wanted some impacts on the songs music wise. We wanted also to have some geographic placements, like we do on the song 1755. We kind of recreated the sounds you could listen in Lisbon, the Arabic influence, and the street markets. So it's all of that is parts of the narrative and all the descriptions that go around the story.
I was very interested. I've listened to some interviews which you guys did before, and I remember there was one where Fernando said that that he has an association with a Greek tragedy choir in there, which I found very interesting, because it's both references literature and music.
Yeah, that's very typical from Moonspell.
That's basically my intro to the next question, which is like, what musical influences you had, like, maybe, because it sounds a lot like, I don't know, for me, for example, Latin, this kind of words with Latin sound, they have something to do with a kind of more religious.
Oh yes, yes,
like
yeah.
that.
I mean, but that's also the on the concept of the album. We found out initially we were just using man because the concept was like the power, the God was only talking to men, not to women, and so we were only using men vocals. But then we tried female vocals on top of it, and it became so great that we skip it. Yeah, but that's all part of the recreation of the theme. But in fact, Moonspell has a lot of influences, both. I mean, not only in music, as you said, like literature is a great inspiration, mostly for Fernando, and he comes up with a lot of the concepts and inspiration for our music too. Because musically, to be honest, nowadays I think the biggest influence we actually have is Moonspell itself, because we always try to recreate us, and because the influences were already there when throughout the career. So I mean, we're not getting any like new stuff. I mean, I listen a lot of new music because I hate to be stuck in bands that are more than 15 years old, and I feel old with that. So I try to listen as much new bands as I can, and I'm a post-rock fan as well. I listen a lot of electronic, but the things that made you as a musician, as a creative part, I think they're already very much structured in our minds. So whenever we try to write music, it comes really from inside of us. Maybe there's a song that I was listening in the morning, or Ricardo, that inspired us to do something. Like, it happens that you answer to a certain kind of feeling that a song provides to you. But usually we actually get very much influenced by ourselves.
And I know this question has been asked many times, I'm pretty sure, but I never heard your answer to this.
Okay.
So, because you have a very different styles throughout the career, and like there are a lot of different musical experiments, so to say. So I know that some of your band members said that everything is still connected, and it's like very much coherent.
No, not to me. Not to me.
So I'm wondering what's your
we just released a biography in Portuguese. We're going to release a biography in English in the future, in Spanish, in September, I think. And by reading it, I realized that I'm the most critic about the albums.
Okay.
So I always tend to see the bad things about it and to explain that, because the good things are the ones that everyone knows and everyone feels it in a different way. I try not to be a spoiler, though. So
I'm you're not going to say what's bad.
No, the thing is, it's pretty public. I don't hide it that Butterfly Effect shouldn't have been a Moonspell album. I think it goes too far, but not everyone in the band thinks the same. So I would say that. But it's an album that I really like, and then, I mean, if it's coherent. It is on the other albums, but like Scene could have been a bit more rocky, rocking kind of. But it's a very good album, and I think that's totally Moonspell. Then Darkness and Hope is again Moonspell. So I would say that coherent. Yes, there is a line. I agree, there is a line, but the line was a bit disrupted with Butterfly Effect.
Okay.
The other albums, they actually follow certain kind of order, and it's a new development. Of course, musically we always have this kind of bipolar feeling that we do something really heavy, then we do something really melodic, and then we do again heavy and then melodic. It's like, oh, now we did a heavy album, now I have the urge to do something soft. What we do now a lot of times is create side projects on Moonspell. Like we did a kind of acoustic shows, but with a lot of cellos and percussionists and female singers, and playing like almost like acoustic shows, and that was very pleasant. And that was after, I think, Alpha Noir or an heavy album or Night Eternal. So I think this kind of stuff maybe still confuses people, but maybe it fulfills our bipolar personalities.
I read somewhere that you said that you are writing songs on guitar.
Yes.
Quite. Why? Do you like it more?
It's because a guitar, I walk on my corridor and I pick up a guitar and play it immediately. And
Is that how you started? How did you come into music in general?
The guys invited me to the bands in '93, and I started to play keyboards in '92.
Oh.
But I bought a keyboard because I was bored in Germany, and I went to live there with my mother and started to play. I like to listen music, and I had by the time the same taste as Fernando. That I knew him. I knew Ricardo also, but Ricardo wasn't in the band, or we didn't dream about being in a band together at all. So I didn't want to have a band. It wasn't something that I really was looking for. But the guys invited me, and I learned everything I know in Moonspell. And eventually I also started to learn the guitar, and then...
okay, so guitar was after that.
Yeah. I mean, I knew how to play a little bit before keyboards, but I mean, I always wrote songs on keyboards until... Then I started to butterfly a little bit before I already wrote stuff on guitar. But just because it's handy, I mean, instruments to me are sometimes barriers because it's hard to play them, and you have something in your mind and you have to play it, and it's so
it doesn't go as the way you imagine it.
Yeah, and it's a hard way until there, at least. The good thing is that by making so many mistakes, you actually create something different, and maybe it's even better than the original idea. But the thing is, any instrument will suit me as long as I can write the music. It doesn't matter if it's with the nose or with the feet, it doesn't matter. As long as I can try to reproduce that's fine.
Who were your teen idols?
My what?
Like teen idols? Who did you listen to when you were like...
Jim Morrison, teens, like teenager.
Well, I mean, I think that's, I don't know.
When I was teenager, I really liked Jim Morrison. I liked to read him, and I like his style, but I was big, and still am a big Cure fan, but I don't look at
that's not important, like it's not something that
the people don't interest me really. The music counts, and I'm not like if Robert Smith passes by and I have the opportunity.
I didn't mean that as idol as an idol.
But like guys that I admired, there's a lot obviously, but not on the teenagers. During the teenagers, that when I was a teenager, I was just listening to the music. That's it.
Oh, okay.
No, of course I admire a lot. We were talking about Josh Silver, the keyboard player from Typo Negative, and I mean there's a lot of musicians. Peter Steele, of course, and I mean, but I think these are people that some of them I know them personally, and I love the person. Some of them I know them personally, and I don't like so much the person, but I don't know. I admire my mother. I admire, the guy that I have a friend that has diabetes, and he was unemployed and now he's recovering his life and he never complained. I admire him a lot. So I admire my colleagues because we are very stubborn to continue a career. So admiration in music is just the music itself,
Yeah, but I meant something like more like who influenced you musically to kind of...
the band, Moonspell. I'm very unique, in that aspect, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the show, actually, because
Today's show.
About the show.
The show. In general.
Yeah, in general, because I think you guys have a lot to do with theatricality.
Yes,
you seem to be very interested in that aspect,
and more than ever now. Yes.
Yeah, and this show seems to be even more than probably ever before. So I'm wondering whose idea how do you actually are you all involved? Are you do you collaborate with how does it happen?
The way it happens is usually Fernando comes up with an idea, and so we developed as a group, but I try to make it happen in logistic wise, so that the ideas can be executed with all the limitations that we have by flying in planes and have big shows or small shows. So I'm more into that. I actually designed the backdrop, but Fernando came up with all the closes and the way the show should go. And based on his idea, I actually developed the idea that I always wanted Fernando to come on stage alone, and that's now we're doing it. So that is then developing as a group, but obviously that Fernando is the most creative part of the process in what comes to influences, directions, and even for music. Although he's not writing music, it's easy to say that that he gives us the right directions and the right ways to follow too.
Okay. Last question. I know you have quite a big tour coming up in autumn with Dr. Quility and in North America.
We just finished another very long tour with Cradle of Filth.
Oh yeah. Just before you came here. What? I mean, I don't know. I've heard you guys didn't want to go to States for a while.
True,
and
true.
What changed?
The offer.
Just
I mean,
the good,
it was a great package, and it's not like we're going to lose money with it. We said okay, we give it a try. Also, the agent we are using there is a guy that made a lot of effort to make it happen, and he's well established in the scene, and we would like to work with him in the future. We did it in the past, but there was a big period of time we didn't work with him, so it has to do on the business side a lot. But frankly, I think the package is the most attracting point on it. I mean, these are good friends from us, all of them.
You toured before with them? Or?
Yeah, all of them. With Amorphis, we did with Dark Tranquility and with Omnium Gathering. So I mean, it's easy going. And Dark Tranquility, they have a Portuguese crew working for them, and these are people that work for us. It gets really easy, and nowadays these things count. So.
Okay. Thank you very much for this.
You're more than welcome. Yeah.
Спасибо, что были с нами.
Подписывайтесь на наш канал, ищите нас в социальных сетях и увидимся неровно через неделю.
Пока!